All right, welcome back. Episode 4 of the 4F Pod or the Fit Friend, Fat Friend podcast. It's crazy. It feels like 2 weeks ago, Yusuf and I were talking for the first time, and now we are 4 episodes deep into the podcast. We're co coaching. Man, life comes at you fast. Or as my dad would say, life's what happens when you're busy making other plans. And I didn't account for this plan, but it's been a ton of fun. So if you're here for the fourth episode, thank you. If you're here for the first time, go listen to the first three and then tune back in for the fourth. So for episode 4, we are
Imagine
going
we keep
to.
imagine we keep doing that for 75 episodes. Listen to the first 74.
Oh yeah, we should probably go along. I should probably get away from that at like episode 5 because people are gonna have a lot of catching up. If you're with us for episode 1306, go back to 1 and we'll see you in a year and a half. But today we're gonna take a similar approach to what we did in episode 1, if you recall, with our friend Harley, who sent a message that resonated with us and we thought would resonate with a lot of you as well that are listening. So what we're gonna do today is we are going to break down some messages we got from our coaching clients. I have one that I want to share, as does Yusuf, and it's two scenarios that we thought that a lot of people may be facing or going through in some capacity and could relate to. So what we're going to do is we're going to read them to you today, and then we're going to share our thoughts and have an open dialogue about it and see how we can share with you how to take practical insights into these situations. And this is going to be a little different. To be candid with y'all, normally we have a little bit more of a plan and a talk track, but we really wanted this to be an open-ended conversation between the two of us. And we want to see what comes of this and what our natural thoughts are. So we are excited to do this and dive in and just see where it takes us and give you guys some actionable insights that you can implement into your lives by the end of the episode. So, Yusuf, why don't we start with the message that you got and we'll dissect it and pick it apart and share some insights.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you what, what might be a great idea at the end too is Harley sent a follow-up message. And we should share that because it's a surprise. We'll leave it at that. We'll just share it at the end. But yeah, absolutely. So this message that we got, so someone had just finished watching this hour 15-minute long Loom video that I made, which is I call the intro to perma ripped, which is a mindset. It's a way of being permanently ripped because it's called perma ripped because once you see things a certain way, you can't unsee them, especially once you've raised your awareness, you can't go back. So this person had just mentioned, hey, I just finished watching the intro to perma ripped. Definitely will be rewatching throughout the process. I think the biggest difference I'm noticing between this approach and other trainers is the type of food you're recommending. Most trainers say if it fits in your calorie goal for the day, eat it. But you're recommending to focus in on mostly protein, veggies, and some carbohydrates. For where I'm at, do you recommend I just quit cold turkey on fast food and unhealthy snacks altogether and then try the 80-20 rule down the line when I've seen more results? Or do I gradually move away from these foods? What have you seen works best for someone in my position? So if we're being really quickly, so just provide some context, if we're being objective, um, this took a lot of self-awareness for this person to write, in my opinion. Knowing where they're at, if I'm not mistaken, I believe they're on the higher end of the body fat chart. And I think to even go the route of be like, hey, do you suggest I quit cold turkey? Or do you suggest I introduce certain foods? And I have a bit of a mixture as what my recommendation usually is. But first and foremost, the level of self-awareness in this was actually pretty cool. And if I may say, actually quite intelligent. It was extremely self-aware to be able to be like, all right, what have you seen work best for me? Which is just a really, really spectacular place to be in. Um, Within answering this, when you and I talk about this now, let's put it, how do I word this? The person's 250 and they're like 5'2" or 3. Okay. So objectively speaking, Michael and I's answers, or let's even just say my answers, or our thought track, we're functioning in a different world as this person. And it's so weird that I've heard it put one time as like, I had this mindset coach say I function in a different dimension than most people. I thought that was a really I remember it took me a year and a half to even process what that meant. And I was like, what does that even mean? What does he mean by
Yeah.
that? But it's like this is but then we've covered you don't know what you don't know. And that's the level of unconscious incompetence where you don't intend to not know things, which is why I thought it was even more important and powerful. This person was aware and going, what have you seen work well for people like me? Should I just quit? Should I just cut cold turkey, or should I reintroduce fast food and unhealthy food? So I want to let's maybe focus on an excerpt. Did you hone in on did your ears perk on any part of that question? By the way, did your ears perk?
Yes.
Where?
Specifically on not maybe not the ask, but the part where she said the way that you differ from most coaches is it sounded like she had dealt with
Interesting.
some IIFYM folks. Now, the reason that stuck out to me, if it fits your macros, for those of you that
Yeah.
haven't heard that abbreviation, the reason it stuck out to me is because I was once in this predicament with if it fits your macros. And as soon as I read that, I thought, oh, I've been here.
Yeah.
I learned about calories, which then taught me I can still eat the foods I love and hit my calorie goal and lose weight. And then I started to sort of abuse that belief system. And then I found myself, yeah, I was at 2,500 calories and I hit my protein, but I was eating 30% of those calories from processed foods and I wasn't full off of if I would have
Mm.
just eaten the 2,500 calories from whole foods. So it was detrimental. So that stood out to me as the biggest part because I lived that situation and I was so diehard. If it fits your macros, just hit your protein, hit your calories. You can have Oreos, and you can. But when I made maybe 5 to 10% of my diet that stuff, the adherence of the diet was a great deal easier, and I was less hungry.
You know what stuck out to me? It's so interesting that you say that. The wording for where I'm at, do you recommend I quit cold turkey on fast food and unhealthy snacks altogether? And there's the reason why I really appreciated the question so much was because what are the other things that you hear you quit cold turkey on? Heroin, alcohol,
I was
drugs.
I was going to draw that exact. Okay, we're on the same wavelength here. Go ahead.
Yeah. So you know what's interesting? There's a level of the person understanding that outside of them as a unit, that they have the choice of like, I know this isn't to my benefit. And then within the unit, they're aware that their body can crave. And they can be like, I need it, I want it, which are these kind of like lustful feelings of just like, I gotta have it, which in their experience is real. And then you look at outside of it, if they bring it, which is so cool that they get to bring it to me or someone else and go, hey, should I just quit? Because like that in of itself, I think is the sign that you're aware, right? And it's like, why continue? My question I pose is like, so what would be the need to continue eating those
Hmm.
things? So it's like, so like verbatim, for where I'm at, do you recommend I just quit cold turkey on fast food and unhealthy snacks altogether and then try 80/20 down the line? I would say, in the perfect world, if you were to be able, if you were able to get off of fast food, that sounds so funny to say. If you were able to get off of fast food, which is difficult, especially when
True
it's
though.
been, yeah, when it's been baked into your mind as normal, and it's been, all of us have different upbringings with food, all of us have different experiences with food. I think when you're able to even say, should I quit and then reintroduce, I think when you get off of it, you're not even going to want it. I think fast food isn't even food, and that's because I'm so far on this other end of a spectrum. Not to sound unrelatable, but it's like I've got rolling momentum in the direction of feeding my body positively. And when I say positively, I mean objectively. I'm able to add nutrient dense foods that then give me back energy to make me feel great, and I'm optimized for performance, great mood, great bodily function. Everything is absolutely stellar and I'm aware of it. Like just to the point where like I feel it and I am it. So I look at like if someone wants to get off of it, for instance, is once you get off of it, you realize it's not even real food. Like I would say I stand by this. Not every calorie is created equally by any means. You look, food's gone through a major transformation, especially within the last 80 to 100 years. And so I think that it almost would have been easier if someone had dementia and forgot what it was like having those foods, because now their body is
Hmm.
dependent on it and sees it as almost like what it's just got to live with, what it's got to do. And that person knows it as habit. And that's where it's almost helpful if someone just accidentally dropped a brick on the head and just went like, oh, I forgot what it was like. And then you'd be hungry, and maybe you might have even gotten it. There's actually this really cool experiment, I think, where someone was able to get the taste preferences from an organ donation they got. And it was something
Whoa.
absolutely wild. Yeah. And it just goes to show how quickly or how the body can acquire and almost kind of like create its own DNA and identity based off of what it's given. I mean, what is your body made of? What it eats. Like this isn't just here for free. You know what I'm saying? I'm grabbing my body. But absolutely everything we've ever eaten has inevitably turned a part of our tissue or a part of our body. So it's almost kind of like, that's why I say this can sound super conflicting, because I've just posted on my story today. Controlling what goes into your mouth. I was paraphrasing from someone else. Eating or controlling what you eat is one of the lowest forms of discipline, right up there with not peeing and pooping your pants. And I don't think that's necessarily totally accurate necessarily, because the person doesn't know. Like to
Right.
them, it might be this extreme experience, like true experience of I want this and I need this. And truly no other alternative exists in that type of sight or that type of experience. And so how do we get out of that? This is a really fun thing that we want to pose. And I have some ideas, Michael, actually off of what I just said so far, or what we've got so far with should I quit cold turkey and then do 80-20 for this individual? What are your initial thoughts on like where they even feel like they're at and what it takes to get there? And how would you let them dance around IIFYM? And
Yeah.
do you just eat food, etc.?
I think you said something. You said I don't want to sound unrelatable, but it wasn't. This is where I'm a big believer in balance. I am keenly aware that you can go out on the weekends, have a good time, eat out, have a cocktail, and still progress forward towards your goals. But there comes a point where I'm pretty rigid on things, and I don't think it's unrelatable to say I don't even you said I don't even consider fast food food, and I don't want to sound
Oh yeah.
unrelatable because the average person does eat fast food, and we're saying the average person, the average American, is eating more processed, bagged or boxed or fast food than they should. But it is true. It's almost like if you're able to quit fast food because it is addictive, and you don't really appreciate that or understand it until you step away and only eat something that grew in the ground on a tree or had a mom and dad for an extended period of
Hmm.
time. Like if you only eat whole, natural, single ingredient foods for a while, and then you step back into them, like the story I posted on my
Yeah.
Instagram the other day where I drank that chocolate shake
I was gonna
and
bring that up.
I was I had a dark chocolate
Your
bar in my
face,
pantry,
bro.
and I took a sip and I was like, "Oh, this is drugs. Like this is
Yeah.
drugs." They have food scientists that plan and design these foods so you cannot stop eating them. So they attack all of your satiety signals. They overload your dopamine.
Mm.
It is in all essence a type of drug. It acts on the same parts of the brain. And when you release yourself from that for a while and then you go back into it, you're able to appreciate how it is addictive, but it almost tastes man-made. So
It, it not even tastes. It looks man-made. If I pull up, you know what's really interesting? So we do have an answer, which is really cool. With the day that you ordered McDonald's and got that shake, I ordered food from McDonald's, and I'm gonna hold my phone up. To, these are all products. Like they're not like, and that sound for some people that may sound extreme, but these things like truly when they look like there are no blemishes whatsoever, and they've got these robust colors and flavors and these profiles, it appeals to that side of like I'm just buying something, and there's a total disconnect of the fact that we want to nourish the body at at least a base level at first. And then obviously you can have these things whenever when you're in the position to, and I think also in the position to appreciate them for what they are. Like I this again might sound insensitive. I can't think of anyone who's eating McDonald's during the day sober. Like I would have this messed up. Because I'd be
yes,
like, I'm already up here. I'm gonna keep going higher. You know, like that's where I would do it. For what I've seen work best, I love 80-20. 80-20 is just this nice expectation of like leeway, like human desire. There's this nice honoring of it, which is really cool. I think just saying, I hate when coaches be like, oh, they're just lazy. They're just not disciplined. Like, no, it's lazy to say that. Like, it's like
Mhm.
they really don't know because they
Yeah,
haven't
you're
they
taking the
haven't.
easy way out as a coach when you say shit like that.
Yeah, like it's also just it's really it speaks to a level of you don't even give people credit for being people and how human our experience can be as humans, that we make errors, and that with certain environments and ways of upbringing and being trained, that we can become conditioned to think certain things are normal, whether they're societally frowned upon or not. That's just
Hmm.
they're just we're conditioned to kind of sweep it under the rug and think it was what it is. So, on to the solution aspect of this. Without a doubt, I think what speaks more to the human experience than anything is our. I mean, if we look at our word track when people start dieting for the first time, the wording at first is always, especially when someone is literally beginning to diet, I'm starving. I can't have this. I'm starving. Like it's usually all these extremely dramatic statements because the person doesn't they're not aware of the alternatives. And so two different examples. I remember a time where I said I had just gained my weight. I was like 30 or 40 pounds richer. And I remember I was at this crossroads of, do I eat pizza or not? Like, if I eat pizza, I'm going to go backwards. If I don't, I might have this thing that I hate. And I don't want to do that. I'd rather have pizza. And I said, well, I guess I'm just never going to have abs again. Like, that was like a reality to me. I didn't think, can I make an alternative to this? I got a
It's
message
literally a
right
choice.
it's an illusion too, that it's like that or this. And what that speaks to is inexperience, which is great. That's perfect. That's fine, actually. It's better to be inexperienced and aware of that, which is hard because most people are stuck at the unconscious incompetence where they don't even know that there are choices. I
Hmm.
had someone message me before, hey, I'm going to go to a movie theater. She's just starting her fat loss journey. I'm going to go to this movie theater. I see popcorn. What do we think? And I'm like, can you take stuff from home, maybe? And I was like, can you take popcorn from home? I just said, consider the source. Like, you can eat, you don't justify, like, just investigate why you want it and then go, how can I find my own version of that? I'd
Hmm.
love to say most people are 3 to 5 high protein doppelgangers away from their favorite food from getting ripped and tricking themselves into being, wait a second, I don't have to be miserable. I can still eat things and go, okay, that wasn't as slutty, but I still feel good, like, which is
Yeah.
nice. 3 to 5 meals, I'd say, is the mental benchmark. If you can begin to add 3 to 5 meals into your repertoire as to what your go tos are that still give you the feeling, because that's what we're going for, is that I'm finally
Hmm.
eating that thing. I think that you remove a lot of the guilt, which is what keeps and perpetuates that cycle of I'm not deserving after all, maybe. And it
Right.
introduces this, wait a second, it wasn't that hard. I just was laser focused on this one way of thinking about it. But what we have to do, that's a cue to expand what we know in food. Have you had anything similar like that work for, or did you do anything like that for yourself personally when you were buzzed and chin strapped, buzz cut chin strap, Michael,
Oh God, dark
polishing a
times.
handle?
The dark ages. Yeah. So you kind of made me change my opinion in real time here. I would have said to start, no. Like you don't. I'm a big fan of aphorisms, and one that I love is your new life is going to cost you your old one. And if
Uh-huh.
you're 250 pounds and you want to be 180 pounds, you cannot do 250-pound version of you things and expect to get to 180.
Hmm.
So the way I saw it at first was, okay, this individual is 250 pounds. They've said they want to make a change to become a new person, and they're already negotiating. They're already finding points of negotiation with themselves to hang on to the old version. So I guess in short, yes, I have found things that work for me. The 3 to 5 meals you mentioned that I'm going to get to, but I think my concise answer to my this is my opinion is that absolutely not. Don't try to make moderation work at first because you haven't earned it. You haven't built habits that keep you away from doing those old things again. Yusuf and myself can go get a McDonald's shake and not want to go back the next 3 nights in a row and sit on our ass while we do it. It's a foundation of habits you have to build before you can reincorporate those things. And I'm also not saying an alcoholic should reintroduce alcohol, but you never hear the person that has a drinking problem and someone says, well, just Stop for a couple days and then have a little bit, like after a week, just have a few
Mm-hmm.
drinks here and there. No, you cut it out of your life and create new habits and new foundations and new boundaries. And then you can do what you just mentioned, which I thought was genius. A lot of people simply lack the creativity or the knowledge to know that there are alternate versions of the
Yeah.
feelings that they're seeking with those foods, right?
Oh.
We're talking about just mouth
Oh.
pleasure and dopamine and all kinds of neurotransmitters that these foods act on. And there are so many different foods that have alternate versions. There are protein Pop Tarts. There is Halo Top ice cream. Any shitty food you can think of, shitty per se, processed, there is a version of it that is better and is going to keep you on a tighter track to your goals. That I think is key, and it requires people to think a little bit outside of the box. Maybe, God forbid, you hop on Google and you look at like protein dupes for Cheez-Its, and I guarantee you you'll find 50 things. It just requires a little, just like this much ingenuity and drive and self-start. And I think you'll be very surprised, like, oh wow, I had Halo Top, or instead of my McDouble and fries, I made my burger at home and I air fried some potatoes and it tasted really good and I
Mm-hmm.
got the same mouth pleasure and feeling, but I don't feel like shit now.
Yeah. That you know what's you just hit me on a spot that I literally drew one time because I had to explain it. And I remember being like, why is it so damn difficult? And it's you've heard it's a workplace, it's a corporate workplace practice to coach the not the or not to it's not to blame the person but the behavior, not the person necessarily. So the cool thing about this, I look at the body as one circle, right? And so what happens is the body is conditioned to wanting this food, right? We've given it before, despite guilt, despite knowing, oh, I want to quit cold turkey, this and that. The body, the experience is still going to be, I want it. It's still going to be. That hopefully should reassure someone. Be like, wait, I'm not crazy? No, absolutely not. However, I would argue that the B in this circle, the body, and the S that's on the outside, this aura, dare I say, the soul, what feeds the body and what feeds the soul are both very different. Yet, we can get tricked into thinking that the body is just saying that's the guy speaking. And I think it's really nice and humbling to even know that, like, wait a second, my body may want things that my conscious mind knows that I shouldn't have, which is where we get that guilt. Like, everyone knows not to, eat a donut over an apple. Some people know not to cut that person off in traffic. But we have these urges, we have these short, immediate things that we feel we need are necessary, and that's our real experience. And the cool thing is, I don't want to get mean, but like this is what would wake me up is you have to really see sometimes the body just simply does not want what you want, like what your soul wants for right now, until you train it a certain way. There's going to be a point where your conscious mind will be able to like go, no, you know what? I'm still going to eat this way because I know if I go that way, I'm not going to feel right. And that wasn't like hallucinating. That was like a conscious choice to where you raise your standards and
Mhm.
you elevate your consciousness. Like there's a reason why, like, when people see how a food is made, like hot dogs, that you can't go back to eating it, and you're like, no, because now I know this about it. And
Yeah.
that's where I think the true marker of, I always would be dramatic and say, where you're sentient, where you're like, you really care for the vessel as a whole. I think some people can see it, and then we exhibit the same tendencies as credit card spending on our body. And it's like, no, 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 no. This isn't going anywhere. No, this debt, no. And this is the hardest part. If I may introduce this, there's going to be moments in time where people are going to realize it's not fair because they might have spent 20 years a certain way and they were told it was normal, despite the body being like, I don't feel good. And obvious things like being overweight and being obese that are clearly detrimental to the objective of a human, which is to optimize for flourishing and positivity and to feel abundant and to, really be human and free. Um, Even to the detriment of that, sometimes our body can still trick us. And that's where it's useful meditation, journaling, being around other people, learning, spending time being conscious begins to really pay off dividends, especially when you're conscious and sentient and aware of the fact that your body is this vessel that's never going to go away, and that you were trusted with it. And now it takes that level of uncomfortable choice to raise your awareness and then go, you know what? No, I want this instead. So 3 to 5 things, I'd say 3 to 5 protein doppelgangers of your favorite foods. I could talk for 2 hours more about that, obviously, because I've got plenty of people who go, wait, I thought I wanted a fried chicken sandwich, but then I blended up croutons. I wrapped it on chicken breasts, and then I had it in a sandwich, and it was the same thing, and I felt fine. Weird. I'm like, yeah, or we're just learning.
There you go.
That's all it is. It's just learning. Time on task over time. That's all it is.
Bringing on the new skill sets. It's once you learn a little bit about how to cook to make your food taste good, which is something I think a lot of people miss when they start healthy eating. They have the idea of chicken, rice, broccoli, and they don't realize that you can use seasonings, or if you learn to sear a steak off, that nothing's better than, a perfectly cooked ribeye with a well-seasoned roasted potato. That's my home base. I eat that multiple nights a week, and I look forward to it. And I really want to hammer home when we talk about the principle that what you had the coach that said I exist in a different dimension. It's not a conceited thing to say that. It is simply we found our doppelgangers, we've built the habits, and this is everyone else's for the taking as well. But it takes simply time on task over time, simply making the right choices over and over until you realize the opportunity cost of regressing is so much higher than the opportunity cost of making the choice you knew was right a year ago but didn't have the wherewithal to act on. So over time, this person, you'll find your protein doppelgangers. You'll find the alternatives to your favorite food that give you the same feelings. You'll learn to cook. You'll get into the habit of the regular exercise routine. You'll continue working with us as your coaches. And you will simply so far prefer that lifestyle that you may even have the foods you say you want to fit into the diet as long as they fit your calories and macros. And then they don't even taste the same to you. They don't give you the same feeling of enjoyment, or the little stomach ache they gave you a year ago is no longer worth it.
Sit like a rock. Sit like a rock in your stomach.
Like wet cement in your stomach. That's how I feel. Like when I eat,
Crumble.
every once in a while,
Crumble.
I go off the rails. Okay, I've been bad about Crumble lately. I don't know if I should confess this on the podcast, but I think I've eaten 9 Crumble cookies in the last, 12 days.
Nice.
But it's been like 3 at a time. However,
rookie numbers.
Yeah, I didn't need 130 to 130 days like you sociopath. But I did make it work for the calories and the protein. I had a high protein diet, low calories that day, so I had room to work with. And you know what? Not a lot changed on my body. I look normal. My weight's normal. I feel great. And this is just things we've learned how to do from time on task over time. So is there anything that we would add in terms of what we would recommend that this person do that we might have missed?
I got one last thing, and it was this moment actually you reminded me at Crumble Cookie 130 something. My dad, I was visiting home before I moved. I broke up with my ex in Florida and moved back up to Virginia to stay with my dad for a month until I moved back to San Diego. And I was still on a roll, committed to having Crumble. Eating Crumble 130 days in a row was actually one of the most committed things I ever did, which is crazy because there was a point after about a week left in it, towards the end, that I didn't want Crumble anymore. And like it started to just, I remember 2 things. One, I ate a cookie and I didn't like it. I put it down and I felt my body want more. And I remember being like, whoa, wait a second. I didn't even like that cookie. Why are you lunging for it? And I remember that feeling of just like, and I remember almost kind of being like, I don't want to say disgusted or ashamed, but I was like, you naughty boy. Like, what the fuck? We don't want that. Like, that's not within our, like, that's what we do. And the second time when I was in Virginia, my dad he's the health nut. Per episode 1 or 2, I think I might have shared that. Mm-hmm. He's the health nut, took on his own transformation. My dad is this vegetable connoisseur, and he was making this pot of boiled brown rice, carrots, and broccoli. And this was like day 130 something, and I walked by the pot with steamed vegetables and boiling vegetables, and I just remember being like, I really want to take a bite of that broccoli. I don't know, it just looked so good. It was bright green, vibrant, and it was just beautiful. And I remember being like, I was like, me? Am I craving broccoli? What? And I think it was, Yeah, and I think it was this level of I'm like, what is this doing for me anymore? And I remember being like, eating Crumble 130 days in a row taught me in the very end to crave vegetables. Like, because I was just so used to being able to tell. I spent all my day earning the Crumble, working steps, eating high protein, selective vegetables in between, carbs in between, and then the end of the day Crumble. And just one night, I just went, it's not worth it anymore. Like, I just don't feel as good afterwards. I would rather take the high road and go up and climb up. Like that broccoli, when I took the when I felt my body just like ooh when I ate the broccoli. Like I felt like I was increased, which was strange. It felt like I wasn't going in debt, and it was like stacking on top of checking instead of
You
going
should
into
also
debt.
add to the people who don't know that you did the 130 crumble cookies in 130 days while successfully getting leaner to prove a point. Because people may thought you were on some sort of Super Size Me-esque weight gain challenge to prove that you could lose it or something. But no, he did all of
It was
this
bad,
on a
yeah.
successful diet.
Yeah, it was, and it was. I think I would also say it was a heightened level of awareness that it gave me too. I wouldn't say that if you're fit, you should try it, because you can tell the difference after eating certain, like Crumble actually is an abomination to food. Like I don't like Crumble is actually satanic. If I'm being like, there's just no reason why someone should eat 80 ingredients in a 600-calorie cookie. And the fact that they
Hmm.
would put 4 in and then say, "Oh, well, one cookie is 4 servings," is absolutely criminal. Like it's like looking at it because then I'll see people who have no business walking into Crumble, going into Crumble, and they look sad. And that sounds fucked up. I said this one time before in my story a long time ago when I was at day 100 something, and I was like, I'm going in there. At least I'm positive I'm earning it. I'm like walking in there. I'll have 4 cookies, please. But when I walked in there, everyone else was like in their PJs, oversized shirt, sad, pale, and just like head down. And it was like, is anyone here enjoying Crumble? I'm enjoying Crumble. It's like I'm walking in, I'm like, how's your day going? I have the snickerdoodle, I want this one. And everyone's just like sad on their phone, like just like I was just like, this is a different. Oh wow! Wait a second. Interesting. Um, Again, I hope it doesn't come off conceited or arrogant, but it was just genuinely the experience I had when I was in it. I was like, interesting. But I get a level of respect for it because I took that bite out of it. I felt my body want to go for more, always. And then there was a day that just flipped, completely flipped. Shall we go into
Let's.
question number 2? What are you thinking? What do you think? You got anything else you want to add to that, or do you want to go into number 2? Find
No,
number 2.
I think we gave her. I think we gave them practical insights to find the dupes, build the habits that eventually progress you so far forward that you won't feel the need to negotiate with the old version of yourself. I think that's what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Message number two from another one of our coaching clients. This is interesting. This stuck out to me, and I got this message today and sent it to Yusuf, and I thought, what do you think? Should we talk about this today? And this is where the two message episode idea came from. So it reads as follows. We were talking, me and this client of ours were talking about how the week went. He's fairly new to the program, so I was just checking in with him, and he said the other challenge last week was one was that he was traveling, but the other challenge last week was diet, the diet itself. I'm good Monday through Friday, eating from your master food list and having 30 to 40 grams of protein at every meal. However, on weekends, my girlfriend likes to go out, and yesterday I had 2 light beers and we split a flatbread pizza. Nothing terrible. I try to tell her it's important for me to stick to the program all week, but she says 2 days won't hurt, and she shouldn't be forced to the new lifestyle I'm doing, parentheses, and I'm not forcing her at all. Any advice in this area would be helpful. It is very possible that anyone listening to this is going to see a very different side of me because that honestly, like objectively, pisses me off. That basically is okay. Let's take a step back. This client of ours is overweight. I would say in the realm of 230-ish pounds and has a substantial amount of body fat to lose. And when I hear what he says to me, what I initially heard, my knee-jerk reaction to this was, I'm trying to get better, I'm trying to get healthier, and I'm trying to get fitter, and my girlfriend doesn't support that. That's basically what you're saying to me when you say something like that, is that my partner and the person that I love and that says they love me is not in support of me being a better version of myself. Now, that's my initial opinion and my knee-jerk reaction. Maybe it's a little harsh. I know I don't know all the context, but in my opinion, if you have someone that loves and supports you, the idea of them saying you shouldn't force me to live this lifestyle or I shouldn't have to abide by what you're doing tells me this their partner's probably not overly fit and probably doesn't take very good care of themselves. So the advice that I would give, I think, for starters is one, have a very frank conversation about, look, I'm physically unhealthy. I'm trying to better myself. The risk and the problems that come later in life with the situation, the physical state I'm in now, are very much a real possibility if things weren't to change. I want to be better. You should want to be better, or at least support me in wanting to be better. So I would say that the biggest thing you can do is have a frank conversation. These are my goals, and if you love and support me, you will align with that, or at least help me get to where I want to be, whether it's where you want to be or not. So I don't mean to be harsh, but all I
That
heard
was
was I
still
have
way
a
nicer
girlfriend who
than
doesn't
that.
support me.
That was still way
Well, I
nicer
was
than anything I was ever gonna say.
well, I was about to toss it over to you and say, do you agree? Do you disagree? I mean, I sent you the message. You said, absolutely, let's make an episode about it. So what what would you tell this person? I mean, we want to keep it actionable. We want to provide insights and teach them how to navigate, but I also am not afraid to share my opinion on the matter. So I
I
want you
I,
to as
I want to
well.
do an opinion piece. I want to
Go
do an
ahead.
opinion piece. Um, internet on what past this point is not like it's I'm gonna go. I don't want to say knee jerk reaction, but like I'm gonna share like really. I'm gonna untie it. So, and maybe I have an easier time saying this because I'm not in direct communication with him. Um, but to type that out, like I'm just gonna start with that. To type it out and go because like it's just and I'm gonna level a little bit because I'm gonna just for my mental health, not anyone else's. I'm gonna because I don't want to be negative about it. I'm gonna go also like towards. I'm assuming the person doesn't know yet. Like the guy texting doesn't know yet that he can. I don't want to say no, but that he can because again the illusion of choice. It's an illusion of choice. He doesn't know what he doesn't know, and this is a new thing for them to go through, perhaps, or maybe it's not. At the same time, also, I'd be willing to bet. But a lot of habits are formed in relationships. There's relationship weight. Like people gain relationship weight. They get
Yeah.
comfortable, and what happens is the body takes over. The body takes over and becomes a feed me, make me happy. You know, it because it's like I'm so happy all the time now. I'm drunk off of love. Let's go higher. That's what the body. It's always gonna want more. It's in our nature. Absolutely every religious book has said the human is greedy. The human, not some. The human is greedy, and it's worth a level of respect to appreciate how greedy we can be and look at this like I understand how the guy can get duped into saying, "Oh, she doesn't want that," and look, Michael, I'm going to bring this to you and tell you that look, can you help me understand this better? Like for me right now, if a girl were to ever tell me that she needs me to eat a certain way, I either one wouldn't care or two, like no one could ever make me eat a different way than what I want to eat. Like that's number one. So you have to believe that. This guy doesn't believe that yet. I would be willing to bet, or else he wouldn't have messaged it in that full. She says this, and I ate this, and we drank this, because you would just know that that's what you want to do. So there's a level of appreciation for the fact that it's newer and a little more inexperienced. Certain things need to harden up real quick, though.
Hmm.
Especially if you
Yeah.
want this to
Well
be
said.
success. Yeah, they need if you want it to be successful at least, because you can keep doing that. And that's totally fine. Just accept that you'll never two go to a pool together and look great. If that's
Yep.
okay with you, you can do that. But also, like I would be willing to ask, like myself and my partner. Well, hey, what are our results right now? Like, are we showing up confident to places or are we wearing sweaters in the summertime? Or am I taking photos certain ways? Or should I wear this shirt to cover it? And oh, you know what? The whole wardrobe's done. Let's just stay inside. So it's like either we get real really quickly and things get definite because you say so. You're the dude. You're the guy in the house. Like it's got to come to a level of no, I say so. And like if she feels oppressed because of that, then I really feel like a great thing for you to do would be is to genuinely be inspired to listen more to what she's got to say and wonder where she's coming from. Like really, really. I would look at this as, again, relationships are tricky because it's two people with two pasts and two histories of dieting, be it that. Like those in of itself are already pretty intricate as it is. And so if you're, it's already hard for the individual to diet as it is. And again, we don't want these things to come off insensitive. These are just our opinions based off the dimension that we function in, and we understand and we feel it. But there are certain shifts that need to occur and take place if
Right.
you want this to be successful.
And you've agreed to work with us as coaches, meaning you've taken the first step to saying, I'm done with the way I feel right now. I don't like the way I feel. I don't like the way I look. And I want to make improvements on that. And everything we're saying, I want to be very clear because I know he's going to listen to this. I asked him if we could share it, and he said, sure. So everything we're saying comes from a genuine place of care. Like we want you to benefit from what we're having to say, but it's going to be
We're
a
not
little bit
just
of tough
mean.
love.
We're not just mean.
And yeah, we're not just mean.
I
And to the
promise.
people that may be set off by this or upset by what we're saying, you may be upset by it because it applies to your life and there's a little bit of truth in what we're saying. But the truth of it is this: you've agreed to do certain things that put you in touch with your higher self and a more progressed version of yourself. And compromising because of what somebody else wants for themselves is you succumbing to that lower self. And you can, like Yusuf said, simply say no. Say no. You know what? I'm going to get a salad. We'll still have a beer together, but I'm going to get a salad. Have your own damn flatbread. I have goals and I'm going to stick to this. And to be honest, one of two things is likely to happen. Either she is just jacked up and fired up and turned on about the fact that you've got these goals and you're crushing it and you're starting to look different. You're starting to prioritize yourself. And she's going to either maybe want to get on board and say, I got to take better care of myself. I got to keep up with him. He's looking fantastic. What am I doing? But if that person you're with and you love is continuing to pull you back and giving you a hard time for stuff that is genuinely objectively good for you as it would be for anybody, then that's going to continue to create friction in your lives. And I know, no, I'm not telling you to end a relationship over this, but what I am saying is when I made the conscious decision to live my life a certain way, to be the individual that never really missed workouts, always hit his step goal, ate a certain kind of way, didn't call it a diet, it was simply just how I ate. When you start to do these things, there will be people in your life that you just don't align with as well anymore. I am not nearly as close to friends who I partied with back in the day because I don't
This
do
is
that.
definite. This is absolutely
Yeah,
definite.
I don't do this to that extent anymore. I'm not going out and getting blackout drunk on weekends because that was what 230-pound me did. And 40-pound lighter me doesn't do those things because it doesn't align. And I'm happy to move forward in my life. And if people are trying to actively pull you back and regress, you need to take a look at, do those people really have your best interests at heart? So stop compromising, make the decision that I'm going to have what I'm going to have because I have goals, and the other person in my life can do what they want to do. And if they continue to try to pull me back, then maybe we need to have a tough conversation about, our relationship and if we really want the best for each other. Because if you truly do, you'll support each other in any endeavor that is ultimately positive for one or both of you. That that's my opinion. I know it may be a little on the nose for what we were saying, but I firmly believe that you've made a choice to work with us and you're headed on the right direction and you're trying to negotiate with the prior you and your girlfriend as well, who wants you to succumb to these old habits that got you where you were. Remember, your new life is going to cost you your old one. So think about that when you go out and you make decisions like this. Is there anything you want to add to that?
Your new life is going to cost you your old one, and you are worth it. Most importantly, you are worth
Bingo.
it. You're worth more. Straight up. You're worth more. You're worth feeling great. You're worth looking great at the pool. Especially if this guy's in his 20s or his early 30s. You're worth it.
Yeah. You are never going to have the opportunity of vitality. It's quite like you do at the age that we're at now. 20s, 30s, you can always go grab it. I don't care if you're 20 or 60. Health is yours for the taking. But the degree to which you can capture it and build muscle and look incredible at a younger age is totally worth seizing because it's a whole lot harder to get it when you're 60 than to maintain it because you've had it for 30 years. So I hope that we gave both of y'all some practical advice and some insights and some tough love that you probably needed to hear, even if you didn't want to hear. And you can take this and take it in stride as you continue the journey. To those of you listening, maybe we covered a scenario that you've been struggling with or dealing with. And I hope sincerely that this was helpful for any and everybody watching. Is there anything you want to add before we roll into the old step check?
Let's pull up Harley's message. If you want to check the step check really
Yes.
quickly, I'm gonna pull up Harley's message. And FYI, I got a new Apple Watch today, so I just got nothing on it.
Oh, do you want to read Harley's follow up and then the comment that we got that I thought was absolutely worth
Yeah.
noting?
Yes. So context for Harley before really quickly. For those of you who remember the OG episode, Yusuf, you said DM you, I don't want to be miserable and sad anymore. I feel like I don't have the money to buy a clean food and get enough protein intake or get a gym membership or a trainer or the equipment to do the work at home. I feel stuck, unmotivated, lazy, happy. I can't get up early to work out. My son is napping. I want a nap. When my husband gets home, I want to sit with him. By the time I cook, I want to relax. I don't want to get on the treadmill. But the whole time I'm thinking about how I'm hating myself and feel gross. I think I'm close, but I, for some reason, can't make the change to get there. We posted the episode. This was the feedback. And it was, so she started off with, man, he really called me out with that Taco Bell. That was too real. I think watching your videos, and especially the podcast episode, I realized how much of this is a mindset thing. I'm so excited and I can't wait to make the choice for my family and myself. Why did I always feel like I didn't have a choice or what was happening to my body was out of my control? How silly was I to think that? You guys are changing the game. Can I say, this is, and this just says, can I say something personal? Can I say something personal? What Michael said about his wife. I'm just gonna. Okay. I was debating if that was shareable or not. She goes, "Can I say something personal?" What Michael said about his why and wanting to be there for his future family really struck me. My father didn't take care of himself, and he missed my wedding by 5 months. He passed away, and I never got to. I never got to think about how I could fall into the same trap for with my child. What an eye-opening conversation. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, taking this girl under your guys' wing, and you didn't have to. Changing lives. And my sex drive. I've been trying to figure out, how did you guys know? Anyways, thank you. I want to be that bitch for real.
Oh God, what a message!
That makes
I'm
it all
blushing
worth
right now.
it.
I like that you strategically raised your voice at the sex drive part. That's
Oh, I'm not gonna. It was all caps.
oh,
It
it
was
was
all
all
caps.
caps.
That's why.
Oh, okay, you were reading case sensitive.
Yeah,
No,
literally.
that's awesome. That's a day maker. Honestly, I had forgotten all the context that was within that.
One
If you
more.
guys
One
haven't
more.
listened to episode 1, go listen to that story.
She says, we did some serious reevaluation of our finances to focus on what's really important. And my husband has been amazing at redirecting my negative thoughts about myself into motivation and action. He's been loving the podcast. Dude,
Fit
like
Friend,
that's
Fat
it.
Friend podcast has changed one life, and if we can just change one, I consider it a win. That's all
Dude,
I
that
care
was
about.
it.
That's
That
awesome.
really fucking hits high. That hits harder than any McDonald's sandwich could ever hit. Any crumble
You
cookie
want
could
me
ever
to?
hit. I got the
You
other
want me to
comment.
read the comment?
Yeah. Man,
This was
this
dope.
touched me.
This honestly
That
made
caught me off guard. Yeah.
this made my entire week. Yusuf had a post today. It was yesterday, an Instagram post, and someone commented, "I'm gonna carry the boats" is his username. Classic David Goggins phrase.
I think it's a girl
And
too.
I think,
Might be.
oh, I
I think
think
it
this
is.
is a hell of a compliment. I mean, it genuinely made me so happy. And yeah, we want to brag a little bit, not to be braggadocious, but because we're proud that we have the opportunity to do something like this for people. And they said, in the nicest way possible, brother, talking to Yusuf, when I first clicked on you and Higher Up Wellness's YouTube videos, I had a slight expectation for a lot of the typical TikTok meme, fitness, podcast bros type of thing. God, what an unfortunate archetype. I don't even know what that is or who that is, but I don't want to see it. But wow, did you guys prove me wrong. You two are truly on the verge of greatness with the info you're putting out. The digestible, actionable information you guys are giving is how you're able to invoke positive, life altering change in people's lives. I'm so excited for more episodes to come. I don't know your real name. I know IG name is I'm gonna carry the boats, but you seriously made my week.
Yeah.
That was the most humbling, gratifying moment of the last freaking 30 days for me. So thank you. And I'm just glad that you got value out of it. And like I said, if a handful of people get value out of this, it's more than worth it to me.
Yeah. That's some good shit right there, man. That hits me right in the heart. That's some
I
good
know,
shit.
big time. Speaking of hitting right in the heart, I'm gonna hit you right in the feet here and we'll get some step checks in. I'm actually low as a motherfucker right now. It's been a busy day. So it
We
is
both had some
7:05
days.
p.m. Eastern Standard. Yeah, me and Yusuf have had a long day today. I am at 8,005 steps, 7:05 Eastern Standard Time. So drop your step check in the comments. Yusuf, where are you?
On this watch, 800. On the other watch, probably like 2,000.
Yeah, we've
I'm
both been pretty
probably
busy today.
realistically, I'm realistically probably at 4,000 steps. I'm gonna walk on the treadmill tonight. I just found out my apartment gym has an assault treadmill, which is the ones that just go.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even know it, and I'm gonna park my ass on there before these episodes and just whoop your ass.
We'll see. We'll see about that. I'm running 10 miles tomorrow at 5 a.m., so I'm not worried about steps from here on out. So we'll
All
see how
right,
that goes. It's gonna be
fair
fun. I'm
enough.
training with a bunch of guys running an ultra marathon. I'm gonna make me look like some kind of peon, but whatever. I'll enjoy it.
Unconsciously
Thanks for
incompetent. It's
watching.
fine.
Thanks for listening, guys. Episode 4. Stay tuned for next week. Episode 5 will be out next Sunday on time this time. We apologize for a little bit of the tardy delivery on this one, but wanted to make sure we delivered something valuable to y'all. So if you're here at the end, let us know in the comments, like and subscribe if you got some value out of this. If you're listening on Spotify, leave us a review and follow the channel. It seriously helps us out. And as always, thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye, guys. Sweet.